Okay, I have an update with this tangent galvanometer. So here in the last class we had studied that d theta divided by di, okay, d theta divided by di, it is proportional to cos square theta, and I told you that theta will be, that is, if theta is minimum, this cos square theta would be maximum, and therefore I said that at theta is equal to 0 degrees, at theta is equal to 0 degrees, we have maximum sensitivity. We can see maximum sensitivity, right? But there is a one small consideration here. Okay, what we assumed sensitivity here as, see, in this case, sensitivity is defined as the deflection per unit current. Okay, so if you look at the units, right, d theta by di, so the units are ampere, sorry, angle radians per ampere, correct? So radian per ampere, is it not? So this is the standard sensitivity what we have seen in moving coil galvanometer. Okay, so this is how we define sensitivity in moving coil galvanometer. Am I right? Correct. But there is one small difference we need to make sure, we need to understand between moving coil galvanometer and tangent galvanometer. Fine. See, if you take a look at moving coil galvanometer, this is what we get, right? So I is equal to K divided by NAB, right? K divided by NAB into theta, right? So I is equal to K divided by NAB into theta, right? Fine. Now here if you take a look at theta divided by I, okay, theta divided by I, it will always be NAB divided by K, okay, number of turns, then you know that area of the loop, then magnetic field, and K is the torsional spring constant, if you remember. Fine. Here K represents torsional spring constant. Now if you look at this expression, what I have written, I is equal to K divided by NAB times theta, this tells you that no matter what is the deflection, I will always be proportional to theta, correct? Always, correct? Current shown by the current which is read by the moving coil galvanometer, it will always be proportional to theta. So therefore the scale, right, the scale on the normal moving coil galvanometer, right, MCGL, right, moving coil galvanometer is linear. Okay, so that is actually linear. Fine, if you observe that. So let me show you that. Yes, this is how the scale on the moving coil galvanometer looks. See, you can see that it is equally divided, right? The scale is equally fabricated, right? Okay, now coming back to this, so if you plot this variation, right? So I and theta, let us try to write the angle, let us try to draw a graph between theta and I. Okay, so theta, will take it along the vertical axis. Now I am drawing this for moving coil galvanometer, right? Now it is always good to know the difference between, okay, so that you can compare, right, theta and I, right? So since theta is proportional to, since I is proportional to theta, so you will get a curve which is a straight line passing through the origin, right? So no matter where you take, okay, no matter at what reading, say you are at, see here it can read from, see, 20 microampere per division, that is what it says, right? Now if you want that pointer to move by one division, right, so you have to, 30 divisions are there, right, 30 divisions are there, you have to supply 20 microampere. Now if it has to show full deflection of 30 units, 30 divisions, so you have to supply 30 into 20, 600 microampere. No matter where you are, okay, no matter what reading you are taking, this proportionality symbol will hold good. Okay, so this graph will hold good, right? So therefore at whatever instance, that is, you can say at when the pointer is showing 10 or 20 or 25, whatever it is, if you take the ratio of d theta by di, okay, see, this will give you di, okay, and this will give you d theta, right? So if you take d theta by di, it always remains constant for a moving coil galvanometer, is it not? But this is not the case when we speak about tangent galvanometer, right? See, the tangent galvanometer, it clearly, we wrote that I, okay. Now what is the purpose of any galvanometer? It is used to detect and measure current. Now, how do we measure current in a tangent galvanometer? We don't straight away measure by looking at the pointer, right? So we will first look at the angle. Okay, first we look at the angle, then we'll take tan of that angle, then we'll multiply by k, the reduction factor, right? So in this case, k stands for reduction factor. Keep in mind. Okay, so this stands for reduction factor. All right, fine. So first we'll find out the angle. Now we'll put it in this value, and we have to calculate to find out the current which is flowing through the tangent galvanometer. Fine. Now if you plot this variation, okay, for tangent galvanometer, if I plot, see this graph is for moving coil galvanometer. Okay, now if I plot for tangent galvanometer, TG, tangent galvanometer, so if I take the same thing, see, I and theta, okay, I and theta, right? So as I told you, this is how we get the curve, right? This is how we get the curve. Now once theta approaches 90 degrees, that won't happen, fine, that won't happen, but in your while taking reading it won't happen, I'm saying. Okay, right. Now yeah, so this can be pi by 2, you can mark, right? So when pi by 2 it approaches infinity, right? Okay, fine. So here I'm just trying to plot I is equal to k tan theta. Okay, I is equal to k tan theta. This is how the graph looks, fine. Yeah, by going by the basic rate of change, that is d theta by di. Okay, d theta. The same graph in the previous class I had written in a different way by rotating the graph and everything. You can make out. We can write like this also, not a problem. So d theta by di. If you define sensitivity this way, that is deflection per unit current. Okay, deflection per unit current, that is what this says, right? And you can clearly make out at points, right? So you can say at points, that is these set of points. Let me mark here, see these set of points here. Okay, at these points, okay, at these points where I can say at points where theta current is less, okay, where current is less and the deflection, right? So deflection is approximately equal to 0, okay. There, okay, the sensitivity, right, the sensitivity d theta divided by di is maximum, okay, is maximum, fine. So far so good, fine. Right, now why we saw the other way, that is in HC Verma, as I told you, this is what they have given, right? So d theta divided by di. Here strictly speaking they have not considered d theta by divided by di, fine. It all depends on the how the instrument works, right? See here, when you come to moving coil galvanometer, right, when you come to moving coil galvanometer, no matter where you are, that is even if the current is less or more, fine, so the deflection per unit current will always remains constant, right? But this d theta by di here, as you can see, it keeps changing. Okay, so what does it say? At you just have to draw a tangent. Now the slope of the tangent will give you d theta by di at various points, right? Now sensitivity, if you define it as deflection per unit current, then obviously at points where current is less and theta is approximately 0, that is, I meant these points. Okay, so at these points, though, so the red points, whatever I have plotted there. Okay, so sensitivity will be maximum. But coming to tangent galvanometer, right? So here, if theta is 0, right? If theta is 0 or close to 0, what is the use in tangent galvanometer? If theta is approximately equal to 0, so is it of any use? We won't be able to measure current, is it not? We won't be able to measure current, right? So therefore for tangent galvanometer, the sensitivity is defined in slightly different. Okay, it is defined in a slightly different way, fine. Okay, so here they have given good sensitivity or maximum sensitivity, you can say. Okay, so maximum sensitivity in the working range. Okay, so the pointer can plot two values, the pointer can show theta which is approximately 0, like very close to 0. Well, you can say like say 1 degrees. Okay, so 1 degree it is okay, fine. Even if it shows 1 degree, so don't you think it will be quite difficult to calculate by putting at that expression, right? I is equal to k tan theta. So therefore, for tangent galvanometer, we define sensitivity in a slightly different way. Okay, so we'll call it as deflection. Okay, deflection per fractional change in the current. Okay, deflection divided by deflection per fractional change in the current. Okay, fractional change in the current. Okay, now fractional change. So what do we know? Let us try to define, right? Now d theta divided by di. So this is the same plain old sensitivity, deflection per current, right? Now deflection per fractional change in the current. Okay, so that will be given as d theta by di by I. Okay, so you need to remember this. So here is the difference, right? Here is the difference. But there are few confusing topics when questions are asked. Okay, so that also we'll discuss now, right? So d theta divided by di by I is what we need to find out. Okay, right. Now again, let us start with I is equal to k tan theta. Okay, right, I have taken small k, right? Yeah, I is equal to k tan theta. Now if you do, di is equal to k secant square theta d theta. Fine. Now let us divide by I. Okay, so if you divide by I, you will get it as k tan theta. Right. Now I need to look for this expression. So d theta divided by di by I. Okay, so d theta divided by di by I, I will get it as tan theta divided by secant square theta. Okay, yeah, so d theta. Sorry, d theta is gone, right? Fine. So we'll get it as sin theta divided by cos theta. Now secant square theta is actually 1 by cos square theta. Okay, right. So we got it as sin theta cos theta, right? So let us multiply and divide by 2. So you got it as 2 sin theta divided by 2. Okay, 2 sin theta divided by 2. So this is how we define sensitivity for a tangent galvanometer. Okay, so d theta is equal d theta divided by di by I, right? Okay, so we got it as 2 sin theta divided by sin 2 theta, right? So what the hell? Yeah, this is actually this is sin 2 theta, right? So sin 2 theta divided by 2. Fine. Okay, so yeah, now here comes the basic way how we define maximum value, right? Now this LHS to be maximum, we'll say sin 2 theta must be maximum. So that will happen at theta must be 45 degrees. Okay, fine. So you need to understand how we define sensitivity at the first place. Fine, right? So when you take theta, d theta divided by di, okay, d theta divided by di, so we got it as, we get it directly proportional to cos square theta, correct? We get it directly proportional to cos square theta like described here, right? Okay, so we'll say at theta is equal to 0 degrees, you have maximum sensitivity. But here, since theta is equal to 0, if it is of no use for us to find out, to determine the current using tangent galvanometer, we'll define sensitivity this way. Okay, we'll define sensitivity this way. Fine. Now coming to questions. Okay, so coming to questions. So sometimes they'll say you have got questions like this. It says sensitivity and accuracy of tangent galvanometer is maximum at dash and dash. Okay, this has been asked. Okay, I saw it in internet. I think many of you would have searched it by now. So there, the options given were like this. Okay, 0, 45. They never gave 45 and 45. Okay, they never gave 45 and 45, and this was not given. Okay, this was not given, and some three other options, right? Now, when you define the sensitivity in the basic way, that is deflection per unit current, then 0 is right. Okay, 0 is right. So this is by considering the theoretical sensitivity, whatever we say, deflection per unit current, right? So, and the accuracy will be maximum at, okay, accuracy will be maximum at 45 degrees, right? Now, what I suggest is that by looking at the options, you need to understand which option to mark, right? Right. So, but 99% of the time, if they ask what is the sensitivity of tangent galvanometer and when it will be maximum, means it is better to go with this answer, that is at theta is equal to 45 degrees. At theta is equal to 45 degrees, the sensitivity and accuracy there is no doubt, I believe, and accuracy will be maximum. Okay, so this is given in many standard reference books, right? So it can be a H.C. Verma and by Balaji Publications. So all of them have given this, right? Right. Now look at the options and try to give the answers, right? Okay. Okay, I hope you understood the last part. Now finally, to conclude, you can write for tangent galvanometer. Okay, for tangent galvanometer, the sensitivity is defined as change in deflection, that is the deflection, you can write like this, d theta divided by di by I. Okay, so this is how we define for tangent galvanometer. Now for moving coil galvanometer, okay, for moving coil galvanometer, sensitivity is d theta divided by di. Okay, see, you can define d theta by di for tangent galvanometer also, but it doesn't have, you will, as I told you, you will end up getting sensitivity maximum at lesser angles. So practically speaking, it is of no use for us. So we will make sure that to get a good reading, the needle will point somewhere in between 30 and 60 degrees. Now in that 30 and 60 degrees, 30 degree and 60 degrees, so where, okay, in this range, where you can expect good sensitivity means at 45 degrees. Okay, so that is what they have given in your Hallen material also. At 45 degrees, we have good sensitivity as well as accuracy also. Okay, fine. So remember this, and in your competitive examination, such questions are rare, but keep an eye. All right. So when they give 0, 45 and 45 and 45, this they don't do. Okay, so this they will avoid. Fine. So look for the options, so which will suit you better. Okay, so as given in our standard reference books, we will go for this sensitivity for tangent galvanometer. Okay, so finally we can conclude that at theta is equal to 45 degrees, accuracy and sensitivity will be maximum. Okay, so that is our conclusion, right? Accuracy and sensitivity is maximum. Okay, fine. I hope you understand. Yes, let us go to the next topic. Vibration magnetometer. Now it is also called as oscillation magnetometer. Okay, now what it is means, it is a simple piece of bar magnet is what we take, that is all, and we'll see how it works. Fine. So it is used, right? So it is used for comparing the horizontal component of Earth, okay, the horizontal component of Earth's magnetic field, and if you know BH and I, that is inclination, right? Inclination or dip, will say, right? So if you know that, you can find out B also, right? So comparing BH and magnetic field of the Earth, okay, at two different places. Now we'll see how this is done, and it is also used for determining magnetic moment. Okay, so that is magnetic moment and the magnetic field due to a bar magnet. Okay, so due to a bar magnet. we can say magnetic field of a bar magnet. Okay, so no problem. Fine. So magnetic field of a bar magnet. Okay, right. Fine. Now let us try to see how this is done. Fine. Now what is the working principle? Let us try to understand that. Now this is really simple. It is actually based on angular simple harmonic motion. Fine. Now what we'll do is we'll take a bar magnet. Okay, we'll take a bar magnet. We'll tie a thread. Okay, we'll tie a thread or something exactly at the center. Say this is the north pole and south pole. Now if that is the case, the magnetic moment M of this particular bar magnet will be this way, right? Now what we'll do is we will keep it. Okay, we will keep this in an external magnetic field. So usually what will be this external magnetic field? That will be BH only, right? So horizontal component of our Earth's magnetic field. Fine, right? So we'll keep it this way, and we will just give a small disturbance. Fine. Now if you disturb, see, usually when you set this bar magnet free in an external magnetic field, right? So it will settle. Okay, so the bar magnet settles in the stable equilibrium position, right? So the bar magnet settles in stable equilibrium position. Okay, so it will settle in stable equilibrium position. All right. Now when you give a small disturbance, right, so small oscillations will start taking place. Let us say, okay, now this is your external magnetic field, that is external to the bar magnet, so you take it as BH, right? Say this is the small deflection which you have given. Okay, so north and south, so this will be a magnetic moment M, which will be this way. Right, now the angle between M and BH. Okay, so let us take it as some theta. Okay, so let this be some theta. Now theta is actually small. Fine, so that it will disturb it so that it will execute SHM, and you must have you must find a way to find out the time period of oscillation. Okay, so you need to have a stop clock or a stopwatch, we'll say, right? Okay, stopwatch. Okay, anything which can measure time period of this oscillation. Fine, so that is T, capital T. Fine. Okay, now what happens is when you disturb this, right? When you disturb the force, right? The force acting on this here, equal and opposite forces will act in this particular scenario. Now these equal and opposite forces, they'll give rise to a torque, and the net force acting on it will be 0. So this will be the force acting on plus Qm, and as you know, you can associate magnetic charges, right? Plus Qm and minus Qm. Okay, so this will be minus Qm, right? And the force acting on the south pole, it will be this way, right? So you can say F minus Qm, right? Now because of this, you will see some torque, right? That will call it as the restoring torque. Okay, now if you look at the direction of the restoring torque and the angle theta, right, this restoring torque, it will try to reduce that angle, correct? So therefore you can say the restoring torque, it is given as M cross BH. Let us take it as BH here. Now magnitude wise, you can write it as M BH sine theta. Okay, M BH sine theta. Now we will give a negative sign to this. Okay, we'll give a negative sign to this. Fine, because restoring torque, it will try to bring back, it will try to reduce the angle. So that is the reason. So you can say the restoring torque, okay, that will also be equal to minus MBH theta approximately. Okay, approximately equal to MBH theta. That is for small deflections. Okay, why do we say this? It's because sine theta is approximately equal to theta. Okay, sine theta will be approximately equal to theta. Fine. Now you can write this restoring torque, right? Now this restoring torque, you can also equate it to, okay, I alpha, right? So I is the moment of inertia of your bar magnet, correct, and alpha is its angular acceleration, right? So I alpha will be equal to minus MBH theta, right? Now if you take this alpha, we have done this again, so just for understanding sake we are doing it here again. Okay, so alpha alpha you can write it as minus omega square theta. Right, now if you compare you have omega square is equal to mbh divided by I. So therefore omega will be equal to root of mbh divided by I. Right, now we know the angular frequency of the oscillations, right? So time period of oscillations, right? So it will be given as t is equal to 2 pi divided by omega. So that will be 2 pi root I divided by mbh. Okay, fine. Now we'll see how this expression is used for comparing magnetic fields, magnetic moments, okay, and few other things we'll see in the next class. Okay, fine. So please make sure you have noted down the difference between tangent galvanometer and moving coil galvanometer. Okay, fine. So whatever has been discussed in today's class and yesterday's class, please put it on paper. Fine. So after when you're referring back, so you must have a clear idea, right? So tangent galvanometer, the way we define sensitivity is different from the way we define sensitivity for moving coil galvanometer. So that is why all this confusion. All right, fine. So see you in the next class.